Hello and welcome to Trekkie and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Monika.
And I'm Andrea. And welcome to episode 4 of season 3, Forget Me Not. So this episode picks up, I wouldn't say immediately after the last episode, but it picks up a little bit afterwards. And we see the Discovery crew is a little bit struggling to come together. And we need to figure out what's going on with the Trill symbiote that's going on with the Discovery's newest crew member. So let's go ahead and get into it. Monika, what is your initial reaction of this episode?
I think I'm going to return to the snaps, and I think this gets 3 snaps. I'm welcoming Hugh back, not only on the screen, but in, I think, a fairly important role that I've talked about a few times in this podcast, that the ship needs a counselor. And it seems as though Hugh has adopted that role. And so I appreciate him helping everyone along, not just physically, but also in their mental state. So I really connected with that. And I would like to know what you thought about this episode.
I liked it. Half a filler episode and half an important episode. It was like, what happened with the crew didn't necessarily do anything for like the storyline. It just helped them like sort of, come together. But then like what was happening with Michael and
Adira,
that furthered the plot of the episode and of the series. But what was going on with the Discovery crew was important, but that could have happened like off episode. So I'm like half and half. I liked it, but I don't think it was all needed. So we're going to go back to the I'm dead inside portion for half of this episode.
That's the part I
liked. And I liked Indira's part better.
So let's dive in.
Yes, let's dive in. So a lot of this episode was really about the Discovery crew and then like the crap and the mess and the emotional wherewithal of where everyone is. And we can definitely see that he was the person who, when he talks to Saru, is saying, hey, everyone is good. Or he phrases it in a way where Saru's like, that's not answering my question. And Hugh lets him know that like, while physically they're good, they're not well, because he makes a point to say that they have no connection to anyone off the ship except themselves.
And they're all stressed.
They're all stressed about it because they all made the decision to be there. Right. But it's like, it's one thing to make the decision to say, I'm going to go live 930 years in the future. And it's another thing to say, I am in the future. Oh, what's the point of my birthday? My mom and my brothers and everyone who I was celebrating with and get a message from, they're dead.
Right.
And I don't know anyone off the ship. Like who's gonna care if I die?
Yeah.
So they're like feeling so disconnected in this new time.
Yeah, I like to think that they're homesick for their timeline.
Yes.
Right? Because like now they know Earth is not accepting of it, so they would not be able to go back to Earth, right? And so they miss what was available to them 930 years ago.
Even when they were back on Earth and they were with the tree, it was a happy, sad moment because the only people who would be alive would be your grandchild, maybe, or like, no, not even a grandchild because they didn't have children. Your great niece, nephew times 10.
All right.
So you're so far removed from anyone who you could be remotely related to. You don't have a connection to Earth. Earth isn't your home anymore because you're not from that Earth. You don't have anything.
Right. And their sacrifice has been erased from the logs, from history. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So this whole, like, Earth doesn't even appreciate them.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices that they made. Yeah.
So no, that's definitely true. That's one, oh my gosh, that's even like another worse thing to know. No one knows what you did except who was physically there, and they couldn't tell anyone. So that even makes them feel more removed from the situation. And it's nice to see that Saru is taking his like job as a captain to like, okay, I'm gonna try and bring this group together. I'm gonna try and create a little bit more camaraderie. And I do like that he has everyone around the table, his like head people, around the table and is like, well, what did you all say when I took the first poll about this and you all decided to be here? So one, it was nice to remind people so that them remember we did choose this. Like, you didn't choose us for this. We chose to be here. So one, this was our choice. And then we get to see some nice funny moments. And then there was an awkward moment where I'm going to be honest, I fast forward through because my secondhand embarrassment said no. My secondhand embarrassment said when she said blood, I was like, nope. But it was still nice to see Saru and to see the crew have that type of laughter and fun around dinner. And even Georgiou was getting in on it, her sarcastically, but she was getting in on it.
Detmer has been suffering for a while from like post-traumatic stress from leap through the wormhole. Like, and the whole battle to get through to the wormhole, to then get out of the wormhole,
and then the landing.
Right. So all of that, I'm sure, was really hard to pilot because there was just a lot of stress, and that wasn't in any of the, I'm sure, training guides and things that she had to go through.
Yeah. But
then also, I think there was like this, she felt a lot of pressure to keep everyone alive. Not only like
she's the pilot. So
right. But also the universe, because if they didn't do this, everyone would die.
Yeah.
So there's that, and also Paul felt like he had this like God syndrome on his shoulders for a while, thinking that he was like in control of all of this because he was kind of like the engine. Paul also doesn't really want to hear Tilly's ideas. So there was that tension as well. So I think that was all good, except for I missed, again, a key character that was not at the table, the dinner table. I don't know if she was not invited to the party. I don't know if she's still in the sick bay. I missed Jet, and I wish she was there.
I'm actually happy she wasn't at the dinner because I think she just would have made it more awkward when it didn't need to be awkward. Like, she would have said something to try and lighten the mood. And I don't think in that moment dry humor would have been like, if she had said something prior to Ditmer, but like she would have only made it worse post. Like her dry humor, she would have thought she was saying something that was super funny, and it's like, no, please don't say that. Jet, you're not really soothing. Like, you're soothing in ways that is great one-on-one. Table setting like that, I don't see Jet being helpful in that sense. So I was happy she wasn't there.
I think she could have checked Paul.
And Paul, she would have, but again, that would have worked better one-on-one, I think. Because every time she's ever every time she's ever really helped someone, it's always been one-on-one. But whenever she says something in a group, they just have her as like the comic relief. And so it's like, I need you to help Paul like you helped Hugh one-on-one when you went to sick bay. It was like, hey, I have a hang now. And like you had that one-on-one conversation instead of like addressing it in front of everyone.
Yeah.
I think that would have been Jet's strength, or how they sort of so far have her strength when she really helps and gets through to people is always like one-on-one.
I hear that. I just know that she helped a lot with the several missions to get there. And I felt like she should have been there even more so than Linus. So
but Linus was an OG discovery. I don't know.
Bottom line, there was two things that came out of this dinner. Saru realized that Pike, and I think he knew this kind of before, but it's not until you're really in someone's role that you're walking those shoes and you realize, that Pike made it look really easy to get everyone working along, and he just needs a little help. He needs the computer's help to help give suggestions on how to help the crew bond and de-stress. So there's that. He was trying his best with the dinner party. And then I thought also, Tilly just mentioned, this is part of family. Sometimes these things work out, sometimes they don't, but at least they had the opportunity to bring everyone together, and for Saru to hear it firsthand, but compare it to the report from Hugh.
Yeah, because it's very funny because like Saru started off that dinner saying, this reminds me, when me and my sister, we would go out and forage and come back and have a dinner. And at the end of it, Tilly's like, well, this is like a typical Tuesday at my family. So like, it's all like, it's all relative. And so it is nice to see how they can be sort of like a family. And at this point, they are each other's family. So they need to be able to yell at each other it was bad taste, in my opinion. And I understand you're going through stuff, but like, Stammer's blood. No, we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. He almost died.
Also, Giorgio, I think Giorgio's was not in good taste because she was invited there, but she snubbed the food. She's like, but she left with the wine, right? So
the wine's not bad.
Everyone came with their own little piece of drama. It's what happens.
Here's the thing.
They only have each other though, so they need to just.
But here's who Giorgio is in the family. She's that bougie aunt that don't really want to be around, but ain't got nowhere else to go. That's who Giorgio is. Like Saru was the grandfather trying to bring everyone together. You have Dittmer as like the sister who's like the jealous sister, or like the sister who's going through something. And everyone knows she's going through something, but we're just gonna let it go. Tilly is like the grandkid trying to be like, oh, happy, so lucky, all that stuff. Paul is like the over extra brother. Hugh's his partner. And then Giorgio is like the aunt that's just like, no one really wants to deal with her, but like she family, so you just can't not invite her. But you're just like, oh my God.
I'm glad Michael was not there.
Yes.
And as Hugh said, Michael is definitely a responsibility hoarder.
She is.
And she would have taken on some of this. So it was nice for them I like these moments in which the crew gets together without Michael.
Yeah, because she definitely would have taken that personal and was just like, they all feel horrible because they came with me. No one forced them to go with you. They all chose to go. So don't let them make you feel guilty and where you have to feel like, whatever.
But Hugh knows that Michael is the responsibility hoarder, and Hugh still asks Michael to like escort Adira to Trill. I feel as though there should have been more than just one person to help Adira. I feel like in a lot of these away missions, there should be more individuals, more crew members from Discovery that goes on the missions. What if something happens like this case, but they would need more reinforcements? What if there was a bigger fight?
So while I agree that in their away missions, they definitely need to bring more people with them. This one, I was fine with no one else going because no one else has the amount of experience in this new world than Michael and Adira. Like Hugh and the rest of the crew only have like 2 weeks, maybe. Let's say it's been like 2 weeks. Michael is more, even though like she hasn't been to that planet, she has been in this time. And she is, even though they're all technically going through what Michael's going through, she has more experience of like, she's had a year of being out of time and not understanding what's going on in her life. Stood why Hugh sent Michael with Adira alone, because no one else really knows. They're all still, the crew is still all not there yet. If that makes sense.
Maybe someone with a medical perspective, if Hugh didn't want to go, maybe the other doctor. Or someone else. I definitely
think someone from Earth should have went with them. I think someone from Earth should have went with them, but I don't think anyone on the Discovery would have made a difference because it needed to be someone else who was from that time on her own. I think they should have maybe had a little bit more people from like another person from Earth come with them and say like, hey, you were her supervisor. You understand what's going on. Like you may have more, like, I know you don't like leave Earth, but like, you have a trail contact or something, like, like you got like an ambassador, or like someone who can like, even Booker would have been a better choice to like go with her, like someone who's from that time who truly understands what's going on, who's a neutral party outside of Michael. I do think someone else should have gone with Michael. I just don't think anyone else from the Discovery was in a mental spot to do it unless they made like the Discovery half a filler episode where they got their minds right and then someone went with her. But since it was happening at the same time, it was just like, y'all are not mentally stable enough. Like if Dittmer went, it would have been horrible. Like, so it's like, I think they needed to come to terms and accept their new reality. And they didn't do that until this episode, which was like, you need more people at your away missions. Y'all should have did this last episode, or like should have had an episode in between, which would have been a filler episode, which I would have hated, but it would have made more sense for them to have someone to go with her to Trill. In the second half of this episode, we'll talk about what happens down on Trill. So they should have had someone go with her. So I do agree with you. She definitely needed someone. It's just the way they set up this episode it wouldn't have made sense if you're making a point to say they're all not mentally stable and then you're going on an away mission that needs peace. Like, you can't have one without these. Like, you can't do both. Get right. Okay, guys, we are in the second half of this episode, and we're going to talk about everything Michael and Adira. And so for those who don't remember from the last episode, Adira is the little smart girl, the little smart aleck girl from Earth, who is a genius, and they find out that she has a trill symbiote attached to her body. And she is unable to locate or access the memories of the past host. And so a symbiote is just something that's only really native to Trill, people who are from Trill. And they end up contacting that planet, and they find out that what is going on is a blessing to the people of that planet. Because since the burn, they said they've lost so many people and they were losing so much of their history. And the symbiotes are ways to keep their history and to like pass it down and to like know all their names of everyone who came before them and everyone who had the host before them. So when Michael goes with Adira to the planet, first they're shocked to find out that the girl's human, which I thought you would have told them that before, like before you got there, like, hey, look, the chick's human and she can't access the symbiote. But like, it was very interesting when they first arrived, because the first guy steps forward and is like, what are your names? And you can tell that it is a emotional and important question that he's asking her, because it's their history, it's their culture, it's they need to know the names of the people who are part of the symbiote. And she's like, I don't know, I'm just Adira, I don't know the rest. I know that I had Admiral Tal in me at one point, he was in the symbiote, but I don't know anyone else, what's going on. Would it really be a political party if there weren't people like having all these different answers? Because we are able to see, like, there is the main leader who's like, she has the final say, and then there's some people it's like, well, we need to rip it out of her because she's not from Trill, she doesn't deserve this. And another person is like, we need to figure out what's going on, this is our history, we need to help her. And Michael's standing in the middle saying, hold up, we're not ripping anything out of her, especially if it's going to kill the host, or if there's a chance it could kill the host. We're not doing that. We came here for help. The Trills, I'm happy you're still peaceful, but y'all just as dysfunctional as the rest of the world.
Right. So it seems similar to Earth. The Trills are not accepting of outsiders. And so first of all, they had the stereotypes thinking that, or these preconceived notions like, oh no, this is impossible, this hasn't happened. No, let's find out more first. No. So they put up a wall first. And then also, then their second inclination was just like, oh, well, she's ours, we can destroy the host. Like, okay, that doesn't work either. But it goes to show that now that we don't have a federation in this universe, that there's a disconnect and a lack of embracing of diversity and inclusion. And so I have concerns there, and I think that was the underlining story that the writers wanted to make, is that they just weren't open to change at first.
Yeah,
except for one person.
Yes, because he cared more about their lost history and the chance to reclaim it than the fact that someone who wasn't Trill having it. And it was also like a sense of jealousy because someone who's not Trill gets to be a host and I don't get to be a host. No, that's not fair. This is ours, only ours. How dare you have a part of it? And then you have the people who's just like, I don't care that she's not Trill. She has people within her. She has our people within her. Let's figure this out. And so in Michael fashion, disregards their request to leave and basically is like, we're going to figure out where that cave is that they were talking about that's supposed to help you, and we're going to get you there. And they run into this first gentleman. I think it was Pav, who basically was like, she's an abomination. We can't, like, we need to, he basically wants to take it out of her against her will, knowing that it's going to kill her. And Michael's like, nope, we're not going to deal with that. And like basically phases him out of the way. And then they head to the pool area, and they're met with someone who, his name is XI, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. I do apologize.
Yeah. So, right. So at first, Pav attacks them, I think, on that route with some of the guards. There was this weird like saber thing that they have. And Michael was able to fend them off. And then Guardian Zai helped them to find the cave, which is good. I don't know why Michael thought that she was going to be able to find it all by herself.
Because she's Michael, and she always solves everyone's problems.
And then the cave is beautiful, but then once she's there, how's she know to work out everything else that's there? There's like it's organic and there's technology. Anyway, I'm glad that the Guardian helped.
Yes. Zai. I'm glad that Zai helped. And basically told Adira, like, this is going to help unlock your path, or your history, your past. And so, she gets in there, and then we get inside her mind, or something goes wrong. So Michael has to be Michael and goes in after her. And we see inside, I guess, what is the symbiont, or and Adira's really scared. And she's like, I don't want to be here. And Michael, being Michael, talks her through what she needs to do. And we start learning the history. And we meet in this new character, Gray. I almost said Gary again. And he's like the sweetest little boy. And we see that he is actually the son, I think, or connected to General Tal. And I'm guessing because this Adira says that, they're both orphans, that at this point General Tal is dead, because he's taking on the symbiote himself. And afterwards, we can see there's a little bit of a disconnect between Adira and Gray, because she feels like she's going to lose him because he has all these new memories and people and these hosts, that he can now play the cello that he couldn't do beforehand. And she sort of just feels a little like lost about it, but they're just really cute and young love in high school. Like, oh, I'm going to love you forever. But Adira has this fear about going further into the memory. And so I definitely thought it was going to be like she was going to attack Gray. I definitely thought like she was like past Adira was like about to attack him, because she was like they were going to have a fight or something. But no, something else that's super cute and sugary happens, people. And like, this is coming from the dead inside girl. She gives him a gift that at first she recoils from it because she doesn't want to remember what is about to happen. And she ended up making him a handmade blanket that showed their life together, their very short life together. Because at this point, if she's like 17 and this happened at least 2 years ago, she was 15, 14 when they were dating. If they didn't start dating until they were 15, that was a lot of memories on that blanket for them. So like, this was just a lot. Like, this was super sugary, sweet relationship stuff. And then there is a explosion. And with this explosion, Gray is about to die, and she calls to the medics, and they're like, no, he's not going to survive, but the symbiote will. And so she says, I'll take it for you, because she understands that this is very important to him, that keeping the host alive, keeping the symbiote alive was very important to him, which is why he took it in the first place. And you can even see that Gray is like, oh my God, you're going to do this for me? Like, you're going to like take this on, knowing that this is not a part of your culture. This is not, like, you would never have been expected to do this. And her doing that, her unlocking that memory, brings all the other memories forth. And did you peep one of the old uniforms we saw one of the guys wearing? And I was like, oh, I know which show you're from. I don't remember which one, but I know it. I remember it.
Yeah, so there's several generations. I'm trying to remember. They're like 6 or 7 Trill. That's part of the symbiont being that's now part of Adira.
And she comes back. They come back, and she gets out of the pool, and she's asked the question again, what are your names? And it's just like this humbling experience when she says all of the names of everyone who's inside of her. and she's offered a spot to stay on Trill to like be her mentor to learn how to unlock it, but she's like, I can't. I feel like I'm supposed to be with Discovery. And then something cute happens where the leader who originally turned Michael away, it was like, maybe, you know, we may see us join forces once again. Basically saying they're going to start they're going to join the Federation. Granted, if so, I guess if things work out in the future, if they're able to bring it back. But I thought that was a really, really good ending. So this was my favorite part of the episode, and your favorite part was the other half of the episode. But what did you think of just Adira's journey this episode?
So I understand that we have to go through the motion of finding out about her previous host, so that we can get the clue to go on the next mission. So I understand that. I just felt like the pool, the state that she was in, reminded me a lot of the mycelial network.
Oh,
and so that was a little weird. It's the thing I was like, well, I'm glad Hugh is not in this place. That could have been post-traumatic stress.
Especially because they had to touch her. And like, that would have been...
You're right, because he didn't want to be touched at all. In this case, Michael was encouraging the touch. But I was like, this is a little like, I wish this wasn't as familiar. I wish it was different in that in the scene. It just looked too connected for me. And it also crossed more into that fantasy, which I really liked. Sci-fi. I really like, I don't know, science fiction aspect of Discovery. And I feel like when they cross over into whether it's the mycelial network or this kind of like these connectors kind of things in the pool, like since you kind of disappear, that's where it gets a little wishy-washy for me, and I start to like disconnect from the storyline.
So we never know what could happen on a different planet. It could go crazy, it could go weird. Their magic could be science. Who knows?
Yes.
But no, I can see it because if Hugh was there and he's the one who dived in and was there, that definitely probably would have been a trigger for him to be the mycelial network, and that would have been a whole another story that we would have went down with him.
Or Tilly, oh goodness.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was very interesting. Adira took the Tal last name, which was interesting because when she first introduced herself, she just said, I'm just Adira. And then now she says, I'm Adira Tal. So that's very interesting that she took the last name. And also says, so and it makes me wonder, is it the symbiote's last name or was it the last name of the family? Because we still, Sennal Tal was the admiral. And then Gray, we never knew his last name, but we know it's Tal. And this could have been like, was his last name just, did he not have one or did he change it to become a Tal? So was he, because I said originally, I think that he was Sennal Tal's son, but maybe he may not have been Sennal Tal's son. He may have just been another Trill who was on the ship. So when Sennal Tal died, he took the symbiote.
They could change their name after the change. Because also Adira wore a white gown going into the pool. So part of me was thinking of a like baptism, like that scene.
Oh.
And then,
okay, yeah, I can definitely see
in the
that.
pool, and then she laid back, and then she went underwater, and it may have been like a reawakening in this, and then later on when she came out, she was all wet. Like I don't know if it's like that kind of state or white dress, as in now a union, like a wedding, and she's now in this union with these other members of Trill. I don't know. Or you can put all of that together.
So then like we get sort of the end of the episode and we see that Discovery has come together and they're watching this old movie, and even for them it's old because it's old for us, like a black and white slapstick comedy, no sound. And I'm just like, how is this funny? Is it funny because it's retro? Because I don't find that funny now. But we see that we see Dittmer and Paul hug. We see like basically all the issues that have happened throughout the episode are sort of being resolved without true talking between the two people, being resolved in happy Starfleet manner. So again, I'm dead inside people, so all this stuff is like whatever. I need people to actually talk it out. And I get that she talked to Hugh, but she needed to talk to Paul because they need to have a conversation. And all he did was hug her. So it's like whatever. I guess it's also like family, because family sometimes you just let crap go. And it's like, look, we're gonna move forward.
Right.
Not
I understand they needed an occasion to just chill, relax, and party. And as Hugh said, just celebrate some joy. I just did not connect with the silent film, and I was surprised at the amount of laughter from the crew at that movie.
Like, you could definitely pick a better movie. Because I get that he's trying to I get what he's trying to do. Like, he's trying to make them all a family. Because they can't have leave to go home. They don't have shore leave anymore because they have no one to go see. Yeah, I didn't really get that silent film. But then we find out a little shocking thing at the very end of this episode that Adira can see Gray, and that's not normal because he doesn't even know why he's there. And we can tell, and from the fact that he doesn't understand it tells me that he didn't have Senna talking to him, because he's like, I don't know why I'm here either. I don't know how I'm here. But you just put this idea in my head when you said that the whole host thing was like the mycelial network. I think Gray's gonna come back in a way, or shape, or form. He might be like a mix of, and I don't know if it's for good thing or bad thing, but he might be a mix of what Hugh and the issue that Tilly had. He could be either a good thing or a bad thing.
Right. Oh, don't tell Paul that. Paul will just inflate his ego even more. He's that's interesting. I was thinking more that when the leader of the Trill made a nod to Michael about seeing them again. Mm-hmm. I was wondering if she wanted to have a Trill moment, if she was dying, share her body with Michael. I wasn't quite sure what that little look was in the future.
Oh, I thought that was, we're going to join Starfleet type thing.
Yeah, I guess it could be. Maybe I was leading more into it. But now we know, though, that the robots can make this happen. So the Trill technology is old because the robots joined Gray and Adira.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
They just need to step out and explore more of the universe outside of their planet. They need to open up, be open to diversity, inclusion. Go figure.
Which is very interesting because it's the person who's forcing the diversity to say you need diversity, because
yes,
it's like the only reason you have it is because the person died in front of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't really have it. So it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, but okay. So any final thoughts or questions about this episode, or what do you think is gonna happen next?
Made me think a lot about an ethical dilemma about if I had the opportunity to take in a symbiont, another being, the memories of another being, would I want that, or would I want a new fresh start? And like we were saying earlier, I'm not sure I want my parents or a sibling always in my head or in my I
don't want anyone who's ever met me to know me, who's known me, to have it.
I don't want their baggage and their I kind of want a fresh start. But then I don't know, a stranger will have baggage too, may have some aspects of their life that I may not want as well. So it's an interesting dynamic. I'm glad that you have the choice to, but that's a big ethical dilemma there. Can we do a background check on that person first? That person crazy.
It's just I get why Adira did it, because it was at a point where, because we can definitely see with Gray, it was much more prepared. They had time to do it. It was planned out. If he was on the same ship as Senna, we don't know. They could have had meetings where Senna was preparing him to take it on, saying, this is what you're going to expect. And when I pass, they're going to take the symbiote and there's going to like, we don't know the preparation that Gray had to take it. And so Adira took it, and she had to be willing to take it because that's definitely a rule with them. Like you can't, a symbiote can't be forced on you. You have to be willing to take it and take all of the other hosts, all the previous hosts. And so it's like, if that, I would do it on the condition that it could be transferred from me to someone else without me dying. Like if it was like they had a way of processing it, like I was holding it to get it to the next person, and there was already a executed, tried and true method of removing a host from like a holding stage, the symbiote from a host in a holding stage, and getting it to the next person in line. Like so I would do it that way.
Got it.
So but I don't know if I could live with someone else.
Right.
Like I don't, and I guess if I was raised to do it, like Gray was like, this is like, they're all trills are ready for it, or like they know that this is a possibility. So like if there's like a training process, because we know that Adira was offered a mentorship to understand it, so that would be different. But like if I was Adira, I'm like, look, can you get this out of me?
Right.
I don't need no one else to know my brain. And then the point where I was like, don't take my memories because I don't need anyone else to know what's going on in my brain.
Right. And that's why I was saying that it would be, I just want a background check first, because I feel like that's what happened with Ash and Bulk. Like Ash took on some of Bulk's memories and his aggressions.
Though. That was unwilling though.
It was, but he did. I know, but you don't know what you're bringing in. Right. So.
That was a what's her face taking a beautiful thing and perverting it for Volk, because Volk was never supposed to go Ash. Okay.
Well, moving on. I think that the ship will and the Discovery crew is off to find the Federation, because now they have their next clue and find out more about the burn.
Yep. So I'm very excited for this next episode. I definitely think you're right. I think with these coordinates, they can make it to whatever passes as Starfleet right now. So hopefully they have a better lie than just where this ancient ship, where the descendants of, like, hopefully just have a better lie, Saru. Because like your ship's ancient, like your lie's not gonna work because all your technology, and Dara made it make sense. She was like, oh, so that's why all your old technology looks new. Like, Saru, you need a better lie, because all the facts are not adding up to the fact you're saying, oh, we're an ancient ship. Why do you look brand new? So what had happened was like, oh, you kept this alive since 931 years ago, and you kept it in new condition, and you never upgraded anything? What?
They're a museum.
Well, have a better lie, Saru. That's all I request, is have a better lie.
We'll find out.
So thank you guys for joining us for episode 4. Don't go to new podcasts. Stick with us. And thank you for everything. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for listening. And let us know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think will happen? What do you think won't happen? Do you think we're right? Do you think we're wrong? And do you think I'm crazy? Because we both know the answer to that is yes. So as always, I'm Andrea.
And I'm Anika.
And live long and prosper.